Most electricians think a 20 amp breaker can handle a 20 amp circuit. That's wrong. That's why breakers trip, and that's why people fail inspection. This is where we get into the 80% rule. The 80% rule is simply there to protect the wire, protect the circuit. It's not there to protect the device, which means 80% rule, if you have a circuit that's going to be drawing about 15 amps, you need to be drawing about 10 amps or so just to be on the side. That's normally what I do. I normally load my circuits to about 10 amps or so of usage so I can have enough space left over. I go above and beyond the 80% rule, which there's nothing wrong with going above and beyond the 80% rule as long as you can hit the 80% rule and never go wrong, or you cannot go wrong. The 80% rule comes out of rules 8-104 and also 14-100. Also, it does refer you to see the Appendix B, which is vital information inside of Appendix B. And what the 80% rule simply states that it has your continuous load and so on. If you have non-continuous load at a certain load is anything that's running 3 hours or more. So keep that in mind with your continuous load when it comes to motors and so on. Obviously, keep in mind that the inrush so it's going to be there for motors. So continuous load is important. The 80% rule example, again, if you have a 20 amp AC unit, let's say for instance 20 amp AC unit, you have to be able to withstand startup when it starts up. Also same thing with the EV chargers. If you have a 60 amp breaker for your EV charger and you want to obtain about or so, let's say for instance we're going to be wiring a 15 amp circuit. You want to maintain the 80% rule. You don't want to max out your circuit to the full max. A lot of times on job sites you will run into plug starts to trip, lighting starts to trip, along with when you have your lighting, sometimes they have it on the bathroom receptacle. And once you plug in the hair dryer, that's when you're going to realize that you're going to get the flickering and so on. You've more than likely exceeded the continuous load of the 80%. You've more than likely exceeded the 80% rule. You don't have that 20% left over that stays in the code, also 14-100. So always keep that in mind when you're on the job site. When you are loading your circuits, make sure that you size them accordingly. Make sure that you also take into effect that these devices do overheat after a time and it will cause serious damage. Simple example, if you have a 20 amp breaker, you're only going to have 16 amps out of that 20 amp breaker that will stay within your 80% rule. Why is that? It states it in 14-108-104. So always refer to these rules. You can simply find the calculations. For instance, if you're doing a AC unit or EV charger, the information is given to you. Just search it. It is there. Sometimes it's on the nameplate. Other times it's on the product information paper that's given to you. So always keep that in mind. That's where you're going to be getting your rules from, right out of the code book. Common mistakes I see on the job is simply oversizing breakers. There's no need to oversize a breaker, especially when you don't have the correct wire to go with it. Meaning, if you don't have a 14 gauge wire, 14/2 NMD90, then on a 20 amp breaker cannot be done. 15 amp breaker is the max. Same thing goes for the 20 amp breaker. You cannot have a 14 gauge wire on a 20 amp breaker simply because it's oversized. You need to have 12 gauge wire, 2 wire on a 20 amp breaker. So oversizing, when you are oversizing your breaker, make sure you have the correct wire lined up. And again, that is right out of the code book. You can find that in the appendix section. You can find that in the tables. That's how you will size your circuit accordingly out of the tables. Also, a lot of common mistakes I also see is not just oversizing, but it's also overloading the circuit. Overloading the circuit is simply when people are going to be putting too much stuff on that breaker. When I say too much stuff, I simply mean you're taking circuits, lighting circuits, and you're all combining them together on the circuit, which is going to leave you with every different circuit. Let's say your outdoor, let's say your lighting, let's say your kitchen, they're all going to draw a different amperage, and you're going to end up overloading the circuit. And what's going to happen is the circuit will trip out eventually, and overheating. So again, avoid that, and ignoring your loads. Ignore your loads. Always pay attention to what you're loading on the actual circuit itself. Again, if you're not following this, you're guessing on the job site. Avoid that. Also, for all those who hasn't subscribed to the channel, you can subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, make sure it's turned to all. That way you receive my notifications when I do go live or I drop my videos or my shorts. Also, don't forget to like the video up, and don't forget to click on the next video that's coming up on the screen.